I got into making music just before I went into uni. So it was kind of like great timing because I could have fun with music and I didn't need to take it so seriously to the fact that I was like, okay, this is life or death situation and I have to, make money. I was also in school because I was like, I have to finish school. So music will be like a hobby. And the more I did it, the more I was just like, this is something I want to do after uni. The same year that I was graduating from uni was the same year that I got the Flo Milli feature for Take It Up, and things were just moving hella fast, going to LA, like all these things were just falling into place without me necessarily like pursuing it and like being headstraight on it. So the fact that everything was just falling into place was just like, it just made sense.
What's up, everybody? It's Ngozi, and I'm back with another episode of AFRO Archives. For today's guest, I'll be speaking with DEELA, a Nigerian rapper whose sound is a blend of old school Afrobeats and hip hop. In a short period of time, DEELA has collaborated with artists like Flo Milli and Teni, gone on tour with Zack Fox, and has received co-signs from the likes of Amaarae, Baby Keem, and Isaiah Rashad. In this episode, we spoke about her going from pursuing biomedical science to doing music full-time, her journey of being an independent artist, and her upcoming mixtape, Wicked. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and now let's get into today's episode.
Thank you for having me, Ngozi. I'm really excited to be here.
Yes, I'm excited too. You're actually my first artist interview, so this is a special episode for sure. Yes.
Yay. I'm happy to be that. But yeah,
Yes.
I'm grateful.
And so the first question I love to ask my guests is, so what are 3 songs from the past or 3 artists that define your journey of becoming a music enthusiast?
Oh, I would say Young Thug.
Okay.
I would say Young Thug, One Day Cole, and also, third spot. That's hard. That's hard. I would say just because of her work ethic and like the longevity in the game and like the amount of time she's rebranded herself, Rihanna.
Wow. Okay. No, that's
Yeah.
honestly a great, top 3 for you. And I feel like that really showcases your sound. Like you can hear the influences in your music. So that 3 really showcases that for sure. And then, so you were born and raised in Lagos and moved to England when you were 11. So during that life
Mhm.
transition, what was the soundtrack for you at that time? Like any distinctive music moments around that time for you?
I would say that I don't know. I didn't really start getting really into music till I moved to England because when I was in boarding school in Nigeria, you were not really allowed to have phones in boarding school. So it was like, you just watch music videos on Trace TV. That was like the channel back then. And I was just being introduced. That's when I was being introduced to artists like Nicki Minaj, Young Thug, and I heard Lifestyle for the first time. So it was like it was kinda like even just discovering, rap music at that time. Um, and then going into England at that age, that's when I was first introduced to grime and like found about Stormzy and Skepta, JME, Boy Better Know. So I would say like I didn't have a particular soundtrack to my life at that time, but that was when I definitely remember being introduced to different genres and being like, oh, this is so cool. I would have like heard this before if I didn't come to England because the radio is like top 40 songs and you're hearing like all sorts of artists. And yeah, it was just an exciting time for me to just like discover so much music.
Yeah, I love that discovery, and then also how, it ended up influencing you in your own
Mm.
rapping and your own career. And then before we dive into talking more about your music journey, I want to talk actually more about your academic background for a second.
Okay.
So I know you went to school for biomedical science, and in your final
Mhm.
year, you focus on sickle cell disease research. So at what
Yeah.
stage of your life did you develop an interest in initially pursuing being in STEM?
I would say quite young. I've also been very creative, but it was actually around the time that I moved to England that because when I moved, like the culture shock was insane. And it was just I was just met in a very like hostile environment compared to where I was going to school in Nigeria, where everyone obviously is Nigerian. So I just found myself drifting away from like the creative stuff and like really hyper fixating on academia because I was like, okay, like these people don't really even want me in the rooms anyway. So like might as well just hyper fixate on something that I know I'm really good at, which was sciences.
Right.
And I still really liked it, but I guess creative stuff had more weight on me than, the academia. So I got really heavily invested into like biology, chemistry, maths, and I did that for the whole from like A levels, which is like high school till university. So I just decided I really like biology, and it was just really straightforward, and it was just all about memorizing, and I could get a lot of money.
Yeah. Right.
So maybe that was the best path for me. And so yeah, I did biomed because I really really loved chemistry and biology, but I didn't want to do maths, and I didn't want to learn about plants. So I
Okay.
was like, okay, I'll do biomed, and there's just so many like versatile options to what you could do with that job. Like you could go into more research and decide to study drugs or study. There's just so many different pathways. So I like the fact that it didn't really hold me down because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do after uni anyways. So that was just me hyperfixating and like making sure that my future was set, quote unquote, you know?
Right. It seems like you
Mhm.
definitely had like a true interest in it. So was deciding to pursue music full time, was that an easy decision for you or were you going back and forth?
No, it was definitely
It was
easy.
easy. Okay. What made it easy though?
The fact that I just loved the whole process of making music, and also I got into making music just before I went into uni.
Mm.
So it was kind of like great timing because like whilst I could have fun with music and I didn't need to take it so seriously to the fact that I was like, okay, this is life or death situation and I have to, make money. I was also in school
Mm.
because I was, so I was like, I have to finish school. So music will be like a hobby. And the more I did it, the more I was just like, this is something I want to do after uni. Like I don't even have like, yes, I love doing this research, and the field that I decided to fully delve deep into was sickle cell disease and blood diseases, and I really like that, but I think I just enjoy researching it. I didn't want to like be in the labs and like be the solution to the problem, if that made sense.
Yeah.
um and it just made sense. Like the same year that I was graduating from uni was the same year that I got the Flo Milli feature for Take It Up, and things were just moving hella fast. Going to LA, like all these things were just falling into place without me like necessarily like pursuing it and like being head straight on it. So the fact that everything was just falling into place was just like it just made sense. It felt natural
Right. So kind
to
of the
do that.
decision was made for you in a way because things were so
Yeah, in a
organic.
way.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Exactly.
I know earlier you were mentioning about how when you were first introduced, well, not first introduced, but learning more about American hip hop, UK rap, everything. So when it came to bridging the 2000s and 2010s Afro beats and rap and within your music, were there any artists you looked to help you create your own lane within that fusion? Like kind of like a
Mhm.
blueprint for you?
I would say that the producer that I work with on Girl No Dey Pay definitely was like one of the most important like pillars into shifting into that direction, because prior like songs like Patience Ozoko, like you can hear like it's still very much like the Young Thug type beats that I was rapping on, Young Nudie type beats. And that's because that was what I was introduced to like when I was listening to rap. Like that's what I gravitated towards. So of course like the music I was making was very much reflective of the music I was listening to. But then when I got into the studio with Genio, he's produced for artists like Santi and Odunsi the Engine, like very much in the Alte scene and Bodge. Um, I think he just kind of was like, you're a great rapper, but you're also Nigerian. And like, it's very, let's do something that like can combine the both. And that's how we started like combining early 2000 Afro beats, because there's so many elements in that production that you can, mesh with rap.
Mm.
And it just creates this like bouncy, nostalgic feel that I really, really, really like
Yeah.
when I make my music, because I feel like people want to dance.
Yes.
I get that, but I also want to rap. So
Right. To find that balance, that combination for
exactly,
sure.
find the balance.
And then
Mhm.
along with Genio, were there any other artists within the Alte scene or even outside of it that have helped to guide you or give a listening ear like early on in
Mm,
your career?
let me think. Um, I had so many helping hands like towards like in my journey. But Genio has definitely been one of the most like pivotal like points in my life, like getting in with him in the studio, because like the first session we did, that was Patience Ozokwa, and we made that song.
Wow.
So like the energy was just great, and he's just been like giving me advice, and I have ideas, we can bounce off each other easily. I would say like getting in with good producers has been like the best moments making music.
Yeah. I feel like that definitely helps, especially because, like you said, you're someone who makes music where you wanna make people dance, make people feel, so that
Mhm.
production is definitely important. And so tell me
Yes.
more about your OG Nollywood aesthetic, like, what drew you to that?
It's just like I remember watching them when I was younger, like Nollywood movies, and like I would always find the girls that were like the bad girls, quote unquote, but they're not even bad. They're just standing up for
Yeah,
themselves.
exactly, yeah.
They're standing up for themselves. They're literally just like, I'm not gonna do what I don't want to do. And I just loved how they were all like so pretty, like they were like the beauty standard, and like they were the everyday Nigerian woman,
Mhm,
but then also doing their own thing and standing on business. And I think I saw a comment earlier on my YouTube. It was like DEELA's music forces you to be confident.
mhm,
And I was like, I don't know, like creating like my branding and imaging has honestly been like fun because it's like I'm not necessarily doing anything out of the ordinary, out of my character.
mhm.
And it's kind of my supporters kind of like understanding me from my music and like those comments. I'm taking them and I'm like, you're actually right. Like I am the Nigerian wicked girl. Like spot on. I'm
Yeah.
gonna take that. I'm gonna like, ingest that. And also like it just makes sense. It just made sense for me. The girls back in Nollywood or even now, like they're just very direct, straight to the point, and they have two sides to them. It's not just about the wickedness, they're also very loving, they're very funny and very fashionable. And I just relate to all those different aspects of them. And my music just kind of like reflects that because it's not a front. It's like how I genuinely feel about things.
Right, just that authenticity, and that's what I love about your music and just your
Thank you.
artistry. And I know that relatability is also important to you when it comes to your music, so that's why you include things like vision in your lyrics. But was there ever a moment for you where you questioned making that artistic move, like truly showing up as your full self? Because it can be hard sometimes, I think, in
Yeah.
music to do that.
I feel like for me it wasn't difficult. It was like a no-brainer. And even as I was like going into that like the wicked girl pathway, I was just like, this makes sense. Like even from when I was like young in secondary school, like my girlfriends would be like, oh, don't try DEELA. Like she's not gonna stand for that. She's not gonna do that. She's not gonna do that. Like it's always been part of like my life. Even my parents would say the same thing. Like when I was young, I'd just be very argumentative and like stand my ground. And so it's just natural. It feels natural. And it doesn't feel like a gimmick. It feels very, very normal for me to just show up every day and just be myself. Because at the end of the day, like it's gonna get tiring if it's not myself. Like you can't pretend to be someone else, you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. And I also think that when you're showing up as your true natural self, people can tell and fans love that. That's what they gravitate towards. So I love that,
Yeah.
you're just yourself, the same that you've been before the music. You're still showing up like
Yeah.
that.
I feel like it's just I feel like as an artist, maybe for me it's like harder to show like the more vulnerable side because it's like, uh, like
Yeah, you just want to show the confident baddie side. Like, let's not go to that side.
yeah, and it's like everyone's multifaceted, and it's not a bad thing to also be vulnerable. So
Yeah.
like, that's one thing that I'm gonna be showing more in the upcoming mixtape as well.
Yes, that's exciting, and I'm excited to talk more about the mixtape, soon. I'm gonna have
Mhm.
some more questions about that. But so in an
Yes.
interview, you expressed that you wouldn't change your journey of being an independent
Mhm.
artist. So, but you also previously talked about how there was a point when you were writing your own press releases and editing content. So, can you tell me more about that experience?
Yeah, it was during uni when this music thing fell into my lap. And I used to think that like people got publication because like journalists would like do their own research and like find the artist and be like, I want to write about that
Mhm,
artist. But then when I like was like going on and releasing stuff, I was like, this is not how it works. Like people must be sending stuff.
mhm,
And I just like did some research and I found out a lot about like press releases and I started to just watch like YouTube videos, how to write my own press release. Was getting like subscriptions at like websites called Pitch. I don't know if you've heard this thing called Pitch, where like you pay monthly subscription and it gets to send your press release to like a bunch of contacts that they have. And this is another thing that I don't like, right? Why are you hiding emails behind a paywall?
yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like that. at all. I feel like like we need to stop that.
Yeah.
But it's just one of the things, I guess. If you want to make it, you really have to just like work hard and find different ways to get your music really heard. Because I feel like the number one thing that independent artists struggle with is visibility and breaking that, third wall between like social media, always constantly posting, and then actually connecting with the people that, already fuck with your music.
Mhm.
And yeah, you just have to find ways to be um sufficient because music is an expensive, hobby to
Mhm.
do. So you really need to find ways to like edit your videos. You can't be paying an editor every single time. Um going ways to like doing different things to like shoot music videos as opposed to always getting director. Maybe buy a camera so long term, like,
Mhm.
you're just cutting that cost and like just doing things with your friends. Just, finding a way to always do something is like important as an independent artist. I feel like that has built me to who I am today. I wouldn't know how to like write a press release. I wouldn't know the importance of it. I wouldn't know how to edit videos and like what makes things engaging because that's also important to like me when I'm making ideas for music videos or whatever the case may be. So I definitely wouldn't change that at all.
Yeah, just that whole creativity of so that you can reach the goals that you want, like that grind
Mhm.
for sure. And I think especially as an artist, it is important to know about the different parts that go into the music business
The music,
instead of just
100,
being the artist, like singing, rapping, knowing what goes on behind the scenes. I think that's also important as well.
100%,
Yeah.
100%.
And then touching more on the visibility aspect, I know that you're someone who creates your own spaces when it comes to performing and putting your music out there. And, while being so hands-on and your career has its pros, have you ever felt like drained or overwhelmed by doing so much?
100%, 100%. Like, it's so easy to get burnt out, especially in this, like, streaming, digital era we're in, where, like, you feel like you're constantly having to put, like, content out every day. People are always like, "Post, post, post." Doesn't matter, post it. But, like, it does matter.
Mhm.
Like, like, well, they say quality over quantity. Like, you can't just be posting
Mhm.
everything. And it's obviously very easy to compare yourself to people because you're just on your phone and you're seeing so many different things. But like, you really just have to lock in with yourself and understand everyone's path is different. Like, you can't compare, and numbers aren't everything. It's more about the impact, of your music and your community showing up. And that's one thing I've seen with me throwing my parties, like a Wicked Time and like my release parties. People are genuinely showing up, and it's just showing me that like the numbers aren't everything. The numbers nothing actually.
Yeah, I think what matters more is the people who are loyal to you. Because you can have a lot of numbers, but if they're wishy-washy, that doesn't really help you. You get what I mean? So
Absolutely.
having
Yeah.
that amount of loyal followers and supporters, that really makes a difference. And
Mhm.
so what is some advice that you would give to young African independent artists?
I would say be yourself.
Mm,
Be yourself and also tap into tap into your culture. Like there's just so much in there. Like it doesn't everything feels so westernized some days and you may feel like, oh, like that's the correct route to go because that's what's gonna like gain the most attention or is gonna gain the most traction. But like people don't know what they want till like you show them what they want. And just don't doubt your creativity.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. No, that's great advice, honestly. And now getting into talking about your upcoming mixtape, Wicked, which is dropping in October, right? Is that still the time frame?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the project comes after a point when you took a hiatus from writing, but
Mhm.
what helped to bring you out of that hiatus?
Great producers. Honestly, great producers. Also just like not taking yourself too seriously when you're writing, and just being free with the process of making music because music is not a linear process at all. Like the glitz and the glam, like I know how it looks like, oh, you go in the studio, you write a song and that's it. But like you have to be open and be okay with the idea of constantly going back to the studio to change lyrics, change the beat,
Mm.
or deliver it more punchier, deliver it in a more confident way, and just understand that like things take time. I think because I'm very impatient, so when I came off the hiatus, I was like, oh my god, everything I'm writing is so shit. But it's like you don't even know that like the song is not even done. Like you've written like two lines, you can't just give up that easily. I think that's what definitely helped me into like easing myself back into the process of making music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and as a writer myself, I think it's all about refining, right? Because
Mhm.
have that first draft, you're like, "This is terrible," but when you keep going back with a new mindset, just a
Mhm.
different lens, that's when you can really,
You get the finished product. Yeah,
exactly.
100%.
Yeah. And then so
100%.
I listened to the songs in my top 3, my personal top 3. I love Polo Mental. I feel like that really
Mhm.
perfectly showcases your sound of that old school Afro beats with rap music, trap. I love Why Always Me and then on and on. That's my top 3. Yeah.
Those are my top 3 as
Oh,
well.
really?
High Low.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I love them. Can you take me back to the process of recording those tracks?
Yeah, so I actually had like a week-long recording camp in Lagos not too long ago in actually when September, damn. It
Okay.
was in May. Yeah, I had a recording camp in May and I had these producers come, Black Culture who produced Colomento, Twitch who produced Why Was Me and on and on. And I had some other producers come through as well. And I think I made a total of like 9 songs that week. And those songs are part of them. And it was just like great energy. We had amazing food in the studio. I was just in a chill vibe.
Mm,
And like I was just letting them do what they want to do. Like I'm very open when it comes to like production, except for like when I hear something I don't like, then I'm like, okay, I'm not quite sure about that. But I would definitely love it. I love it when it's like a more collaborative approach and like I do obviously take their I trust them when they get to the computer because
mm.
I don't know how to produce yet. So yeah, it was just a very fun process making those songs. Colomento, it has a sample of a deep cut Nigerian song called Pere. Um and I just really wanted to sample something that was old school and that like people would listen to and I feel like I flipped it completely.
Yeah, you did. You definitely did. Yeah.
So it was just like it was just fun making those songs and why it was me as well. I was back in my like Ryan bag, so I was feeling very like confident with myself. And I remember when he was making the beat, I was just like, this sounds like something Balotelli would like rap
Mm,
on, like the like he's a footballer.
mhm.
And he's a very audacious footballer. Like he does crazy hairstyles and stuff. And he has this catchphrase, "Why always me?" And I was just hearing the whistles and stuff. And I was just like, I don't know, I was just
Yeah.
vibing to it. And I was just reminding me of football. So I was just rapping about myself as if I was a footballer. That
Mhm.
was basically like my mindset. And on, like Twitch made this like very like emotional because it's like an emotional song, but then the beat sounds very clubby.
Right.
So it's like I love the juxtaposition of that. And it's still also very like bouncy and dancey, which is I don't know. That's just always my vibe. You know, if you're crying, might as well put something on
Yeah.
that's gonna make you
Exactly. And were there any, like, artists or albums you were listening to while, creating this project or no?
while creating this project. I feel like was that I was listening a lot to Sap Baby,
Oh.
like his albums to him. He's also like one of my top listened to artists. And I was listening to a lot of Janet Jackson actually. I was trying to go back in time to like hear stuff that I feel like production back then is obviously very different to production now. Like
Mhm.
music evolves.
Yeah.
So I was listening to Janet Jackson, I was listening to Mary J. Blige, because my manager actually sent me her album and was like, "You need to study this." I was like, right, because like you hear like those are great songwriters. Like even aside from like, you know, the hits they had, great songwriters, I feel like they can encapsulate how they feel properly and
Right.
like really, you know, like emote that on paper and also like in the way they sing it. So I'm always trying to like I always like listen back and I'm like, how are they writing this?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
songwriting back in the day was crazy. It's just the way that they
crazy.
could take an emotion and put it into words, and you're just like,
A
"Wow."
perfect word. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like introspect as well and like present it in such a beautiful way that isn't too serious.
Yeah, exactly. And so lastly for you, Deela, what are you most excited about for this new project? Like, what are you most excited
I'm
about?
so excited to release visuals and shoot visuals. Like that's like my favorite thing to do because I feel like that's properly letting people into like the world that I envision like the music is in. And I'm also just so excited for people to hear the sample flip that I did on Colomento. And I'm just excited to hear like the new refined version of Good Girl No Dey Pay, because I feel like this is like a step up into like fully, like I fully know myself, or I'm more confident in my sound and my life. Yeah.
I love that. And I'm excited for everyone to hear the project very soon. And thank you so much, DEELA, again for joining me today. It's been so great to learn more about your journey and just more about your music that's coming out soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of
I
course.
enjoyed the questions today.
Yes, I'm so glad you enjoyed. Thank you so much.